Who is Cardi B, really? A star, a survivor, or something older, something darker? Why do her eyes sometimes feel like they're looking straight through you? Why do men who get too close to her vanish from the story? I know because I was supposed to be one of them. I saw the real Cardi B, the thing beneath the glamour, the demon testing me in the flesh. And once you see her for what she is, you understand. She isn't just a rapper. She's desire turned rotten, a hunger dressed in flesh, lust made into a demon walking among us. I should have never been in that hotel that night. Every time I think about it, my chest tightens and my stomach knots. It was a mistake. The kind of mistake that ruins lives. A mistake that nearly cost me more than just my marriage, more than just my reputation. It nearly cost me my soul. But before I can tell you what happened in that room, I have to tell you who I was back then and why I ended up there. Because I wasn't always this man. I was weaker, smaller, and the truth is, I was lost. My wife and I, we weren't happy. Ours was a quiet kind of misery. The kind where you pass each other in the hallway like strangers, where the bed feels too big and too cold. The kind where you wake up and realize you don't talk anymore. Not about anything real. Bills, exhaustion, routines. They strangled the spark out of us. I felt like a ghost in my own house, like a man who had died but hadn't been buried yet. Loneliness is a dangerous thing. It doesn't just eat at you. It drives you like a hand on your back, shoving you toward the fire even while you scream not to go. That's how I ended up at the strip club. That's how I met her. That night was different. I went alone. No excuses, no friends to blame. Just me, parking outside that dimly lit club in New York City, the sign buzzing faintly with tired neon. The bouncer barely looked at me. The door swung open and I was swallowed by it. The smoke, the bass that rattled my ribs, the low murmurs of men too old to be there but too desperate to leave. And then there was her. I didn't know her name yet. She wasn't a star then, not the Cardi B the world would later know. She was just another dancer in a haze of flashing lights. But from the moment I saw her, it was different. She wasn't the prettiest girl in the room. She wasn't the flashiest either. But she had a presence, a weight. Her eyes, they didn't just look at you. They looked through you, like she was scanning for something inside your chest, deciding if you were worth the effort. She came over, slow, deliberate. Every step felt like it was meant for me alone. "First time here?" she asked, her voice carrying over the music like she didn't need to raise it. I nodded, though my throat was dry. Her eyes flickered in the light. For half a second they weren't brown at all, but something darker, endless. "You look like you need to forget," she said. The words hit me harder than the liquor because she was right. Looking back now, I realize it wasn't a suggestion. It was an invitation. And by the time I said yes, it was already too late. The strip club was darker than I remembered. The air itself, the heaviness of it, pressed down on me like I had walked into a place that didn't want me to leave the same man I was when I entered. Cardi moved through that room like it bent around her. The lights seemed to flicker in rhythm with her steps. All I could see was her. All I could hear was the soft, deliberate click of her heels. She sat down across from me, leaning forward. The noise of the room dimmed around us, like the two of us had been sealed inside a bubble of smoke and sound where no one else existed. "You liked the dance," she said, her voice soft but cutting straight through the music. Her eyes studied me, and I swear for a second, her pupils stretched longer than they should have, like cracks widening in the dark. "You look like you need more than that." She smiled, and it wasn't the kind of smile that belonged in a place like this. It was knowing, cruel, like a predator smiling at something trapped. "If you think my dances are something," she leaned closer, her lips almost brushing my ear, "you should see my private meetings." I should have said no, but I froze. I couldn't say no. It was like the choice had already been made for me the moment I walked into that club. "Hotel nearby," she said. "I'll give you the address." Minutes later, I was walking out. The drive was quiet, but not peaceful. What was I doing? What was I about to throw away? My wife's face floated in my mind. I should have gone home. Instead, I pulled the crumpled slip of paper from my pocket, the address she had written with neat, almost perfect handwriting. Inside my car, I felt like I was locked inside a confession booth, the silence screaming louder than the music ever had. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. For a moment, I even thought about turning back. But then I saw the hotel. Cheap, nondescript, the kind of place where people went when they didn't want to be remembered. The carpet in the hallway was stained. The air smelled faintly of mildew and something sweeter, almost metallic. Every step I took echoed too loudly, like the building was aware of me, like it was waiting. When I reached the room number she had written, I stood there for what felt like forever. My hand hovered over the door, trembling. I could still turn back. I could still leave. And then, 3 sharp knocks. I froze. The sound didn't come from me. It came from the other side of the door. Slowly, the handle turned. And there she was. Cardi B standing in the doorway, her smile sharp and knowing, her eyes glinting in the dim light like they were holding back a secret the world was never meant to see. And that's when I realized, whatever this was, whatever I had stepped into, it was far too late to turn back now. The hotel room was a coffin, the walls pressed in, the air thick and sour-sweet. A single lamp flickered in the corner, its buzz louder than my own heartbeat. Cardi closed the door behind me with a soft click. She moved across the room with the certainty of someone who had stood here countless times before. She wasn't a guest in this place. She was the owner. "You're nervous," she said. "Not curious. Certain." She pulled out a small glass bottle filled with a dark liquid. Too dark, like ink or blood. She poured it into a glass, then held it toward me. "No one sees the real me," she whispered, "unless they drink." I drank. The taste was bitter, metallic, like iron scraped from the inside of a coffin. The world bent. The walls seemed to swell and pulse. I blinked and caught her reflection in the mirror, lagging a second behind her movements, her head tilted at an impossible angle. When my eyes opened again, she wasn't the same. Her pupils cracked wide and black, stretching like fissures across her eyes. Her smile was too wide, her teeth too sharp, shadows clinging to her skin like living smoke. She crouched low at the foot of the bed, her limbs long, unnatural, eyes fixed on me as though I were prey. "You wanted to forget," she whispered, her voice layered with echoes, dozens of tones merging into one. "Now, you'll remember me." Her face loomed inches from mine. "Do you know what I am? I'm not just this. I'm something older, something darker. I've lived in men's heads long before they wrote my name on bills." Her smile widened as she leaned closer, her breath burning cold against my ear. "I hear it already. A song, something no one can deny. It plays in me over and over, and I know it will be mine." "I'll call it WAP." She paused, savoring the moment. "And it will be on every chart, every station, every mouth. Lust and hunger dressed as rhythm." Her laugh was soft, terrible, reverberating through my skull. "Men think they're choosing me. They're not. I choose them. And you." Her nails, black and glinting like obsidian, hovered above my chest. "I could hollow you out, wear you until nothing is left but a name and an echo." The air tightened. Shadows stretched across the bedspread, reaching for me. And then it came out of me, raw and desperate. "I'm married." The shadows froze. The room stilled. Her hand hovered inches above my chest, claws poised to pierce. Slowly, she tilted her head, black eyes narrowing, her smile fading into something stranger. "Married," she whispered. The word tasted foreign on her tongue. Then, to my horror, she laughed. It wasn't mocking. It was almost reverent. "Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how many men lie here and never say those words? Faithfulness. It frightens things like me. It cuts through us. Loyalty is a chain I cannot break. You've surprised me." Her smile sharpened again, but now it carried respect twisted into something cruel. "I like married men, not because I want them, but because I admire the cage they build for themselves. And you passed." The shadows peeled back, retreating from my body. Her features softened, the monstrous cracks fading until she was just Cardi again, just a dancer in a cheap hotel room. But I knew what I had seen. I knew what she was. She stepped back, gesturing lazily toward the door. "Go. Someone else will take your place. Someone weaker." I staggered off the bed, every muscle trembling. I didn't thank her. I didn't look back. I scrambled to the door, yanked it open, and stumbled into the hallway. The corridor was silent, lined with stained carpet and flickering bulbs, but it felt alive, like the walls had been listening all along. I ran. Outside, the night air hit me like ice. My chest ached, my breath fogging in the darkness. I clutched my car keys so tightly they cut into my palm. I looked back once. The neon sign of the hotel buzzed faintly, casting its sickly glow. The window of her room was black, impenetrable, but even then I felt her watching. I climbed into my car, locked the doors, and sat in silence, staring into the mirror. My face looked hollow, pale, like a man who had died and crawled back. I had survived, but I hadn't escaped, because now I knew. She wasn't just a woman. She wasn't just a dancer. She wasn't even just human. She was something older, something that could wear a face, sing a song, conquer a world. And she had let me go. The drive home was silent, but not peaceful. Every streetlight carved shadows across my face, each one like a scar, a reminder. When I pulled into my driveway, the house looked different, smaller, colder. I turned off the engine and just sat there, staring at the front door. Inside, the house was still. I slipped into bed beside my wife, careful not to wake her. I turned onto my side and whispered words I hadn't said in too long. I love you. Her breathing didn't change, but the words hung there, real, heavy, binding me in a way no demon ever could. That night, I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. The drink, the shadows, the teeth, her voice layered and mocking, whispering about WAP like a prophecy only she could see. A song that didn't exist yet, but one day would. The thought chilled me, because when it finally hit the charts, when the world danced and laughed to it, I would know it wasn't just music. It was a spell, a chant, a demon's hymn dressed as entertainment. And I had seen the mouth it came from. Years passed. I stayed. That night broke me, but it also remade me. I was faithful, not because I feared getting caught, but because I feared myself, because I knew what I had rushed against, what I had seen beneath the skin of a woman the world would one day worship. My marriage healed slowly. The silence shrank. The conversations came back. The distance closed. My wife and I rebuilt, brick by fragile brick, until our home was no longer a graveyard, but a place where life could grow again. She never knew what happened that night, never knew how close I had come to losing her. Some secrets aren't worth sharing. And yet, even in happiness, even in love, I never forgot. Sometimes when I whispered, "I love you," into the dark, I swore I heard it whispered back in a voice that wasn't hers. Sometimes when my wife looked at me across the kitchen table, her eyes would flicker black for just a heartbeat before returning to normal. Little reminders, little hauntings. Cardi had let me go, but demons don't let go forever. They linger, they wait. And when W-Ape finally hit the world, I couldn't listen. Not because of the words, not because of the music, but because I could hear her in it. The laugh she gave me in that coffin of a hotel room. The promise that the world would sing her name whether they understood or not. The song exploded everywhere. Every radio station, every club, every phone screen. Millions of people sang along, danced, celebrated. They thought it was just music, just entertainment, just another hit song. But I knew better. I heard the layered voices in the background, the echoes that shouldn't be there. I saw the way people's eyes glazed over when they listened to it, like they were under a spell they didn't even know had been cast. She had done exactly what she promised. She had taken her hunger, her lust, her demonic essence and wrapped it in rhythm, dressed it up as empowerment, as confidence, as celebration, and the world devoured it willingly. I watched her rise, from that strip club dancer to global superstar, from shadows and smoke to red carpets and award shows. Every interview, every appearance, every performance, I saw what others couldn't see. The way her eyes would flash black for just a moment under the stage lights. The way her smile was always just a little too sharp, a little too knowing. The way men around her seemed to fade away, used up and discarded like empty shells. Now, years later, I still lie in bed beside my wife, grateful, faithful, alive. But when I close my eyes, I see her, crouched at the foot of that bed, black eyes glittering, whispering promises in a voice that wasn't made for this world. Cardi B wasn't just a dancer. She wasn't just a woman chasing fame. She was desire sharpened to a blade. She was hunger wrapped in flesh. She was a demon dressed as ambition. And she still walks among us. I see her on magazine covers, on billboards, on screens across the world. Millions scream her name, worship her, celebrate her rise. They throw money at her. They defend her. They want to be like her. They don't see what I saw. They don't know what hides behind those eyes when the cameras stop rolling. But I know. I survived her test. I escaped her grasp. And now, I'm telling you, she's still out there. Still choosing. Still hunting. Still wearing the face of fame while feeding on the souls of those too weak to resist. So, let me ask you this. Why do we celebrate her? Why do we cheer for someone who wears her demons so proudly, who devours men like they're nothing more than fuel for her climb? Tell me in the comments, why do we celebrate Cardi B even though she is a demonic man-eater? I'll be watching and I'll respond to what you have to say.